Today, we are diving into a really provocative essay from an author named Su Feng, the founder of an organization called Lifechanyuan. Now, this essay sets out to challenge a political idea that, let's be honest, most of us just take for granted. So let's get right into it.
And boom, right off the bat, we get the entire thesis of the essay in one sentence. It's designed to be controversial, of course, to flip a deeply held belief completely on its head. And you know what? The rest of the text is basically the author's attempt to prove that this one single idea is true.
So how do you even begin to build a case like this? Well, the first pillar of the argument is all about history. It's built on this idea that the vision of one single brilliant individual will always surpass the collective wisdom of the masses. What's so interesting here is how the essay frames this central conflict. It's not just a debate, it's a showdown. It argues that a single genius's foresight will always be superior to the wisdom of thousands of others. And for the author, this isn't just an opinion, it's presented as a fundamental rule of how the world really works. Now, to make this idea feel less abstract and more concrete, the author doesn't just talk in theories. They zoom in on one specific and, frankly, very powerful historical example. This whole lone genius versus the masses argument is really told through the story of Mao Zedong's career. The essay weighs out this timeline, but it's not just a history lesson. It's presented as evidence, proof that the mediocre group kept making terrible decisions. From this point of view, every time Mao was demoted or criticized, it was the collective making a massive mistake, sidelining the one person who actually knew what to do. And according to the author, this led straight to disaster.
And here it is, the climax of the author's historical argument. After the group's decisions supposedly lead them to the brink of collapse, the lone genius, Mao, is portrayed as coming back to miraculously save everyone. In the essay's narrative, this is the ultimate proof. The individual was right all along and was superior to the collective.
Okay, so after making this historical case, the essay completely shifts gears and moves into a more philosophical argument. It tries to prove that having a single leader isn't just something that happened once in history, but that it's a universal principle. And to do that, it pulls analogies from completely different parts of life. This brings us to a really key concept in the essay, what the author calls the model of one. The claim here is that the wisest people throughout history, the sages, have always understood and promoted a system with a single, undisputed point of authority. So let's see how they try to back that up. The first analogy is the teleological. The essay points to the ultimate model of authority, heaven. In a celestial kingdom, there's a single greatest creator with absolute will. There are no committees, there's no voting, just one singular authority. All right, next. The argument comes down from the heavens and lands right in the boardroom. The essay claims that any successful company needs one boss, one CEO, to set the vision and make the final call. This single point of leadership, it argues, is what creates efficiency and stops the company from falling into chaos. And the final analogy comes from the military. I mean, this one's pretty simple. An army cannot function with divided leadership. It needs one commander whose orders are followed without question. The essay presents this as the only possible way to achieve victory. So you see what the author is doing here, right? By weaving together these three examples, from God to the CEO to the general, the essay builds an argument that this model of one is a natural, universal law of success. And the logical next step, according to the author, is that a nation ought to be run in exactly the same way. So this leads us to the final part of the whole argument. If democracy is supposedly the pursuit of the mediocre, and this model of one is the ideal, then what's the specific alternative? Well, the author proposes a system led by what they refer to as a sage. And this is where the author brings their own organization, Lifechanyuan, into the picture as a real-world example of this philosophy in action. The model is described just like that business analogy we talked about. One person makes the decisions, and just like a boss, that person also takes on all the responsibility for the outcome. It's all about maximum efficiency. This classic metaphor really captures the entire spirit of the argument perfectly. Which group wins? A group of strong lions led by a weak sheep, or a group of weak sheep led by a strong lion? The essay's answer is clear. The sheep led by the lion can achieve victory. It's a blunt way of saying that the quality of the group doesn't matter nearly as much as the quality of the single leader. For this author, leadership is everything. So, building on that point, the text launches a full frontal assault on democracy. It claims the system is fundamentally flawed because it forces leaders to appeal to the lowest common denominator.
They have to cater to the ignorant over the wise, the mediocre over the talented, just to get votes. And in the author's view, this is a system that is designed to waste talent and resources.
And this brings us to the essay's final, incredibly stark conclusion, which really just boils the entire argument down into a single line. The choice, as the author frames it, isn't between freedom and oppression, it's between mediocrity and talent. So the essay doesn't end with a statement. It ends with this final, challenging question for all of us. If a country has no sages, how can power be practically implemented and be great? It's a provocative final thought, designed to make you grapple with the very core of the essay's challenging ideas.